reality and reciprocity is more explained later.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
it's more
so
there. Yeah,
we have few friends who are doing some homework.
it's
So
very
Mohan
good.
Bhai, I think, reads it many, many times, not just
Yeah,
once.
I did.
Yeah,
Correct.
wow.
I saw the Rakesh Bhai's video 3 times. It's so beautiful what he did last week. I missed it, but it's good to see the recording one. You can backport and watch it. So it was very nice, Rakesh Bhai video.
I'm good to wait if it's coming later also. So I guess it will come along again and again. So
Yeah, I'll
whatever.
just very quickly give an overview of this.
Yeah.
So, whatever we have done. So, basically, what we are trying to understand is that what is the nature of existence, right? What is all there is, right? So that's the basic question we are answering. That what is it? What is basically everything? So here, uh, mm, the very simple and intuitive answer is that all there is existence. Nothing apart from that exists. So existence is the all-encompassing thing. So that is so whatever is to be studied is essentially as existence. There is nothing outside of it. So that actually kind of sets the stage for what we need to study. Then second proposition is that existence is coexistence of two fundamental realities which are not reducible to one another and are basically coexisting. So one is Vyapak Satta, or the omnipotence, which we have called it in English, and which is basically which is all around as space. It is transparent and it is there at the places where units are, and it is there at the places where units are not there, right? So it is basically omnipresent, and it permeates everything. It is absolute. It doesn't undergo any change. It is basically that fundamental uniform reality in which is the ground of all being.
Hmm.
So then basically comes the units or the matter, right? So matter is we understood that matter is actually saturated in this, the first reality of the omnipotence, and this and they basically coexist, and they are not reducible to one to the other. Matter does not convert into omnipotence. Omnipotence doesn't uh, convert into create matter, or say they don't destroy one another. And because it is permeating in this sense of being duba bhiga gira, being submerged, surrounded, and soaked in omnipotence, the units are such that they do not really touch one another at even if you divide any unit to any extent, there is always space between them. So units cannot destroy one another. Matter cannot be annihilated. So it is
Hmm.
this arrangement is there that basically is ensures that existence is by its very being is uh, uh, is permanent. It is eternal. It is shashwat. It is perennial, right? So then basically then the when we talked about the nature of this omnipotence, that it is non-activity. It is not doing any activity, right? It is a non-activity, while the units actually which are bounded uh, uh, are activities. So they are in the form of activities that basically mm, and this activity is actually having a directionality to it, right? So it means that it has the directionality towards completeness. So while the omnipotence is complete, the units or the nature has the directionality for completeness. So this activity therefore has the purpose. So it is basically directed towards the purpose, and in this uh, basically the nature activities of nature are effortful for achieving their purpose, right? So in this thing that we basically see is the units are complementary to one another, and uh, lead which lead to the emergence of the next existential status. So if we talk of existential statuses, the units or the matter actually is found into many existential statuses, and they are actually, there is a progression for that, which is basically we are calling the progression of existential statuses. We are called the name for that is, in Hindi it is called anukram or natural progression. Okay, so nature has an existential progression towards attaining completeness, and so we saw that how the nature is there in, we basically discussed that nature is in the form of four orders and four planes. In the in the in the first thing is the pranic plane, in which the material order and the biological order are there, and they how they bond with one another, the physico-chemical nature, and result into atoms and molecules, and then molecular forms and organisms, and so on and so forth. And there is a cyclicality built into this whole thing, right? So this is what we are calling as the pranic cycle or the pranpad chakra. So this is the way the nature is, and where the complementarity is built into the design of coexistence. So in this, uh, uh, the omnipotence is only providing the ground of being, while the seed of completeness is there in the units. And units are actually developing to attain certain level of completeness that we are basically seeing. So the first level of completeness, or which we are calling as sankraman or irreversible transition, is the constitutional completeness, which basically happens at the level of atom. So here evolution or the development in the is identified at the atomic scale. So it says that development actually happens in the atom, and the atom development is that when its constitution becomes complete and it transitions into sentient status. So that it basically is now able to actually uh, has the uh, has the power of seeing. It doesn't bond with the other atoms, but it basically is able to exhibit certain other activities, which are called sentient activities, which becomes associated with activities such as thought, hope, desire, uh, 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 conviction, and so on and so forth, like feelings, etc. So this is something which is a new thing, which is a basic form of development. So whatever is the form of development that we see, the apparent development we see in the physico-chemical nature, is essentially remains in the plane of pranic plane itself, which basically undergoes the cycle of birth and death, right? So which basically is the composition, decomposition is its basic nature. Now the consciousness actually, or the sentience actually expresses itself through the physico-chemical nature. So the physico-chemical nature actually in a way develops so that it becomes capable for uh, exhibition of consciousness. So the formation of brain actually that happens, through which the sentience actually communicates, right? So that is the this actually happens, and in animals actually this happens in the form of uh, survival, exhibition of the four instincts, that eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, right? These are the four activities that they demonstrate, in which the uh, sentient activity or jivan that we are calling it is actually on working according to the design of the body, right? So we see that different kind of species traditions are there, which exhibit this sentience in according to their respective design of the body. we see that the next level of being actually uh, uh, actually happens when the knowledge order or the human being emerges. When the human being emerges, then they have the capability of demonstrating uh, thought, independent thought, right? Not tied to the body, right? So that is something that basically begins in the human being. And there we basically see a new, the Jivan actually asserting itself beyond the confines of the body, right? So this is the beginning that actually happens in the in humans. And if you look at all of human history, is their struggle to actually uh, um, come to recognize their own reality, or to find their place in the existence. So that's what we actually discussed in the chapter number 2 of human history, where we saw that how the human being actually has come about from the time they first appeared on the earth, right up till the time that we are actually finding ourselves in. So so I think we will the ideas of what we are talking about here will keep getting reinforced in the coming paragraphs also. And so I would suggest um, we continue with the reading. If we have any questions, we can take them now. Yeah.
Thank you,
Uh,
Bhaiya. Thank you.
Rakesh, only one question. I mean,
Yeah.
this whole development, did it only happen because human have to be born, or is it what we are telling?
It may appear so, because basically, if we look at it, coexistence of matter and omnipotence. Okay, that is the fundamental basis. Now, in human, the what it appears is that all the stages of development that we are having are actually different levels of exhibition of coexistence. Okay, successive levels of exhibition of coexistence. The level of exhibition of coexistence that is there in a material order, the in the biological order, that is there, but plus there is something more, which is actually a higher order, basically exhibition of coexistence, right? So we see that it is already having what was there in the material order, plus it is having something more, something it is including, but at the same time exhibiting certain additional thing. In the same way, in animal order, it is actually having some certain additional thing. So, and in human being, basically now it is coming to realize the very nature of coexistence, and actually able to understand the whole design of it, and then take the position of being custodian of the rest of the nature. So if you look at it, the purpose of this whole coexistence seemed to be to give rise to human being who can come to the position of seer or the drashtapad, right? And can evidence that seer status. So if you look at it, the purpose of this thing uh, human is in a way basically at the highest stage of development according to this darshan, right?
Yes, I mean, it's giving me some. So basically, Satta has somehow this dormant requirement, or this all the fake is in a dormant state, and man is the human is the actualization of that, or it has woken up or from that, right? Something like that. It's the same image of the Satta in some sense, but that is dormant in Satta. But so it has started this whole Vikaskram, all the progression has happened, and this man somehow is actualized from that actual plan or design that is there in the Satta somehow, and in this whole thing. Can I think of it that way?
Yeah, I say somewhat like this. Like Babaji used to actually call it मानव में सहअस्तित्व का प्रतिरूप प्रमाणित होता है.
Ah,
So
okay, understood. Yeah, okay.
it's like human actually becomes the image of coexistence,
I mean,
like
it's,
the
it's more
complete
like
image
saying
of
man is
coexistence.
made in in the image of God, like Bible says, right?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I wouldn't basically try to
No, no,
describe
it's a
it
very,
that
very
way.
crude,
Yeah,
crude
but
imagination, but a
the
single
way
point.
that he basically what Babaji used to say is that it is not that omnipotence is leading the development,
No, it's
okay,
not leading.
or
I
is
mean,
it not causing the development? It is
agree.
the
I completely agree. Yeah.
unfolding of coexistence,
The
right?
unfolding happens such that that by design we are supposed to happen like this, and the
Yeah, so
design
there
will
are
be.
actually definite existential statuses. So that if you want to call it predestination, as in Bible they call it, so or the niyati, right? So that we could actually say that there are actually definite uh, uh, existential statuses.
Mhm.
Okay. Yes, Shilpa Didi.
Yeah, I had two questions, भैया. One is that in this paragraph पूर्णता के अर्थ में अपूर्णता स्पष्ट है. In that
Mhm.
सह अस्तित्व के बीच में dash है, whereas everywhere सह अस्तित्व is one word, right? So is that a typo or does it mean something?
I
And
don't think that it means anything special. It might be some typo only, or
okay,
maybe basically it was running into two lines, so dash actually appeared. That maybe I do not know.
okay,
Okay,
okay. And the
okay,
second
and
thing,
Yeah.
uh, and the
yeah, you were
second thing,
saying
like,
about पूर्णता के अर्थ में अपूर्णता स्पष्ट होती है. So this is something which basically is one of the key premises that you basically identify the milestone of completeness. From that reference, can you actually determine the progression towards it? From the reference of justice, we can actually evaluate the progression towards justice. From the reference of Akhand Samaj, Sarvabhaum Vyavastha, undivided society, universal orderliness, can you actually develop, you can basically envisage the path towards it, right? Or the progression towards it, right? So it's the same way, basically, from the reference of constitutional completeness, you are actually seeing that intent for the inherent intent for development that is there in the insentient nature. From the reference of restfulness or vishram in human beings, can you actually see the sense of void in human beings and their want for happiness, right? And what effort that they need to do to actually achieve the state of restfulness, right? So that is basically the thing. Ji,
Ji, thank you.
ओके जी, तो हम लोग आगे बढ़ते हैं. लेट मी जस्ट क्विकली प्रोजेक्ट द स्क्रीन, जस्ट मिनट. Second. Yeah. Okay. So without much ado, we can maybe start. Sanjeev Bhaiya, would you like to?
जी भैया जी right. So this is where we are, and I was just seeing the Hindi speaking participants and English speaking participants are equal in number approximately. So,
Okay.
so maybe Shilpa Didi, myself, Dev Bhai, we will read the Hindi part, and Raghav Bhai, Spencer Bhai, and Mohan Bhai, they can read the English part. Is it okay with everyone? Is there anyone who is not in a position to read? I
That's
take
okay.
it as a yes. So, Dev bhai, do you want to read this paragraph in Hindi, and then maybe Raghav bhai can read the English part?
Sure.
जी भैया, राकेश भैया, if you can please zoom in a bit.
Yeah.
ओके. विकास और जागृति क्रम में स्वतंत्रता एक मौलिक प्रकाशन है. स्वतंत्रता के लिए इकाई इसीलिए प्रवृत्त होती गई कि वातावरण और नैसर्गिकता के योगफल से प्रवर्तन होना एक अनिवार्य स्थिति रही. इसी क्रम में पूर्णता का अभिष्ट इकाई में होना एक शाश्वत स्थिति रही है। इसलिए पूर्णता क्रम में विकास स्पष्ट है। विकास का पहला चरण अथवा पूर्णता का पहला चरण गठन पूर्णता है। ऐसी गठन पूर्ण इकाई जीवावस्था में केवल जीने की आशा से कार्यरत रही है। इससे स्पष्ट हो जाता है कि पूर्णता के अर्थ में विकास क्रम अस्तित्व में नित्य वर्तमान और स्पष्ट है। पूर्णता का दूसरा चरण क्रिया पूर्णता के रूप में ज्ञान अवस्था का मानव अपनेत्व सहित व्यवस्था के रूप में समाधान और पूर्णता का तीसरा चरण आचरण पूर्णता अर्थात प्रामाणिकता के रूप में सर्वाधिक उपकार प्रमाणित होना चिरकालीन अपेक्षा है। यह जड़ चैतन्य के सह-अस्तित्व में ही सार्थक होना पाया गया और यह समझ में आता है। You're on mute, भैया।
Sorry, yeah. In the progression of development and awakening, freedom is fundamental exposition. The unit has continued to be engaged towards freedom because such orientation from the combined effect of environment and naturalness has remained an inevitable condition. Further, the intended end of completeness being present within the unit is an eternal condition. Therefore, development became evident as a progression towards completeness. The first stage of development or the first stage of completeness is constitutional completeness. Such constitutional complete unit in the animal order remains active solely with the hope to live. This makes it clear that the progression of development in the sense of completeness is eternally present and evident in existence. The second stage of completeness is activity completeness. In the form of resolution through orderliness, with ness by the human being the knowledge order. The third stage of completeness is conduct completeness, that is, becoming evidenced as the greatest beneficence in the form of authenticity. This is a perennial expectation. This is found to be meaningful only in the coexistence of the insentient and the sentient, and thus becoming understandable accordingly.
Right. So, would you like to add anything, any explanation or any observation?
Yeah, I think Babaji is trying to describe the stages of completeness. Initially, it is Purnata. Basically, all the atoms together form to stable states of material are formed, and then next it will become Jivan. Completeness, okay, is that being told unit have become engaged in freedom because of such orientation combined. First stage is development is completeness, constitutional. Okay, first stage is constitutional completeness, where okay, various successive forms are getting formed until animal are created with the hope to live. The next stage is activity completeness, where the resolution through orderliness. Basically, this stage basically is the starting point for the knowledge order. This active and the third stage is the conduct completeness, where it can be evidenced in the whole structure. So these three stages, I think, is what Babaji is telling. Rakesh, I mean,
Right.
yeah, that's what I could understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, now we are clear about how the nature is, and okay, in what stages we are seeing the nature, the ontology, so to say, of Madhyas Darshan. That okay, this is how these are the stages in which nature is present. This is the directionality of the thing. This is the purpose that where it basically is, and this kind of lays out how this is all there is, right? That is another thing that is being said here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice way of summarizing the whole architecture.
Yes. Yeah. You happen to be an architect, so you see it that way.
Yeah, the single line statement towards completeness we run.
Right. Okay. So, Sanjeev Bhaiya?
Ji. So we move to the next part, which I think is three small paragraphs under one heading, Rupatmaka Astitva. I think we can read it in one go and then discuss it in one go, in one flow itself. So maybe I will read the Hindi part and I will read the full section. And Mohan bhai, will you read the English part after me once I'm through?
Yeah, sure.
जी प्रकृति की मूल रूपात्मक अस्तित्व प्रकृति की मूल इकाई परमाणु है क्योंकि परमाणु में ही विकास होता है प्रत्येक परमाणु गठनपूर्ण परमाणु है प्रत्येक गठन में एक से अधिक परमाणु अंशों का होना अनिवार्य है परमाणु के पूर्व रूप परमाणु अंश में विकास होता नहीं परमाणु के पर रूप अणु रचनाएं विकास की लाक्षणिकता को प्रकाशित करते हैं परंतु विकास नहीं होता है क्योंकि विकसित इकाई अर्थात जीवन शरीर रचना के माध्यम से प्रकाशित और संप्रेषित होता है विकास के क्रम में ही प्रकृति दो वर्ग व चार अवस्थाओं में प्रकाशमान है प्रकृति के दो वर्ग जड़ और चैतन्य है प्रकृति की चार अवस्थाएं पदार्थावस्था प्राणावस्था जीवावस्था और ज्ञानावस्था है प्रकृति में पद चक्र और पद मुक्ति का भेद चार प्रकार से है जैसे प्राण पद चक्र भ्रांति पद चक्र देव पद चक्र और पद मुक्ति दिव्य पद या पूर्ण पद इसी क्रम में अस्तित्व में प्रकृति का विकास और उसका इतिहास नित्य समीचीन है अस्तित्व में प्रकृति सहज संपूर्ण वैविध्यताएं विकास क्रम में प्रकाशित है
Sorry.
यह एक अनवरत क्रिया है अस्तित्व में विकास क्रम शाश्वत प्रणाली है क्योंकि अस्तित्व स्वयं सह अस्तित्व होने के कारण परस्पर प्रकृति के आदान प्रदान एक स्वाभाविक क्रिया है आदान प्रदान अपनी दोनों स्थितियों में स्वयं व्याख्यायित है आदान प्रदान के अनंतर तुष्टि अथवा स्वभाव गति का होना पाया जाता है इसका तात्पर्य यह हुआ कि जिस इकाई में आदान होता है उसके उपरांत स्वभाव गति होती ही है साथ ही प्रदान जिससे होता है उसके उपरांत उसमें भी स्वभाव गति होती है इस विधि से सह अस्तित्व प्रमाणित होता है ओवर टू यू मोहन भाई
Yeah, the formful existence. The atom is the fundamental unit of nature because development occurs only in the atom. Every atom is an atom by virtue of its constitution. Every constitution necessarily consists of more than one atomic particle. The preceding form of the atom, which is the atomic particle, does not undergo development. The subsequent forms of the atom, which is molecular compositions, provided exposition of the characteristic of development, yet development itself does not occur in them. This is because the developed unit, Jivan, finds exposition and communication through body composition. Nature is evident in two classes and four orders in the progression of development. The two classes of nature are insentient and sentient. The four orders of nature are the material order, biological order, animal order, and knowledge order. The distinction of plane cycles and plane liberation in nature are fourfold, namely the pranic plane, the delusion plane, the deific plane, and plane liberation, the divine plane or complete plane. Accordingly, the development of nature and its history are eternally present in existence. The entire diversity inherent in nature is evident in the progression of development in existence. This is a ceaseless activity. The progression of development is an eternal system in existence because existence itself is coexistent, and therefore reciprocity amongst the units of nature is a natural activity. Reciprocity is self-explanatory in both its aspects. Following reciprocity, satisfaction or natural state is found to occur. This means that the unit in which receiving takes place subsequently attains its natural state. Similarly, the unit from which giving takes place also subsequently attains its natural state. In this manner, coexistence is evidenced.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Manji, and do you like to make any observations?
It's very, some of them separation. The first one, fourfold existence, is a core concept presented in the source, is that the atom is fundamental unit of nature where actual development take place. The key details here is atomic structure, one, which is the atoms must consist of more than one atomic particle to function as a development unit. And then the level, and the next one is the levels of development. While precursors, which is atomic particles, do not develop, and subsequent forms, which is molecules, only appear to develop, true development occurs within the atom itself. And then finally, the G1. This process culminates in a developed unit called G1, which expresses and communicates through physical body composition. And the next one is the nature is categorized as the two classes, insentient and sentient. Within two classes, there are four orders. Um, and then furthermore, natural progress through the four distinct planes. The history and development of these orders and planes are described as being eternally apparent. And the final one is the reciprocity of coexistence is a perpetual process within nature where existence is defined by a continuous cycle of giving and taking. According to the sources, this interaction allows both the entity that gives and the one that takes to reach the state of satisfaction and return to their natural status. This balanced exchange facilitates a constant development progression, making the inherent nature of existent as coexistent clearly evident. This is
Excellent.
long one. Thank you.
Wonderful narration. Actually, it kind of summarizes the whole thing. See, reciprocity or Adan Pradan is something that is something we can see visibly also, right? That the units actually are uh, taking in something and giving something. Like an animal takes something from the vegetation, and vegetation gives something to the animals, and vice versa. Similarly, there is actually reciprocity in humans also. Mother gives something to the child, child gives something to the mother. There is now this reciprocity is something which is evident, which is there for us to actually see. Now we are actually seeing that what is behind this reciprocity. Behind this reciprocity is the complementarity that is inbuilt into the nature, and behind this complementarity is the relationship, right? Behind this relationship is the beingness of nature that is there, which has a directionality towards completeness. So that is the whole, mm, I mean, idea that uh, we, uh, over here of coexistentialism, that units are there and they are actually having some exchange. This exchange is not out of some exploitation and struggle, but actually manifestation of coexistence. So that is the uh, basic description that we are trying to understand existence or the nature, its activities, and in the form of our as humans also, that it is actually manifestation of uh, coexistence only that we are actually seeing at different levels of being.
Yeah, you explained right that reciprocity, and then that Renu Didi was asking mutuality is every unit in nature is engaged in a reciprocal relationship with others. He explained clearly here.
Yeah, so this is something which we need to see that it's not uh, uh, units are not in isolation, and their make itself is that is actually in a complementary way, right? Say, for example, a beak of a bird is made in a way that it can take the nectar from the design of a flower, right? So this is in the nature, this complementarity is inbuilt. In the same way, the relationship of the child and the mother, the design of the body itself, and the drive that is there in the uh, in the sentient self, that also is actually complementary. So if we see that nature is actually complementary by design, and this complementarity is becoming manifested in the form of uh, certain exchange or give and take that basically is needs to happen. This give and take is a natural expectation. So this give and take is not a struggle or exploitation. So the relationships have inherent expectations of complementarity by their being in existence. So because of their being in existence, there is a inherent expectation. So if we actually recognize these inherent expectations of relationships and fulfill those expectations, we feel that we become aligned with the way existence is, and which leads to our own flourishing and also the flourishing of the relationships. So that is the basic idea that we to basically to the whole idea is to make ourselves at home in existence. That existence is the home in which we are living. Once Babaji actually told me, ये अस्तित्व जो है हमारा घर है ना, हमको इस घर की सुंदरता पहचान में आती है तो हम इसमें सुंदर तरीके से रह सकते हैं. This existence is our home. Once we understand the beauty of this home, then we can live in this home in a beautiful way, right? So that is the basic idea that we, in order to uh, the whole idea of Madhyas Darshan Jivan Vidya is not actually to give any moral dictates, but to actually make us see the reality. Right? Once we are able to see the reality, then we align our conduct accordingly. That is the basic thing.
भैया कैन यू जस्ट रिपीट दिस, अगर हमें उसकी सुंदरता समझ में आती है तो उसके बाद?
हाँ, मतलब वो ये बता रहे थे कि बेसिकली ये हमारा अस्तित्व जो है ये हमारा घर है ना. दिस इज वेयर वी लिव. कि घर की सुंदरता हमें समझ में आती है तो हम उसमें सुंदर तरीके से रहना हमारा बन जाता है ना. अगर हमको घर की सुंदरता नहीं समझ में आती है तो हम उसके अंदर बेसिकली उटपटांग काम करते ही रहते. So we also we can see it in a very manner also, that if we actually appreciate the order in the house, that where everything is arranged, what is the way to live, how to behave with whom, then we see that our behavior actually also becomes aligned, and there is harmony in the family and in the house. Right. So if there is a discord over there, if there is a not understanding with respect to that, then what happens is that we start behaving arbitrarily, and this results into all kinds of disharmony.
So Rakesh, so what, as I understood, so there is this inherent complementariness that is there, and because of that, these relationships have been set up, and we exchange and fulfill these relationships by these values that we exchange. And once we try to do this, there is a kind of an ease that comes in. So that we can live easily. There's a kind of ease or a vishram that happens. A stable state occurs, and the natural state occurs once we able to understand and fulfill all these relationships. That's the idea or picture I'm getting, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
And
It's
thanks.
also being said that if unless we actually we it said it also says that we are bound to come around to it. We don't have a choice. He says that it is inevitable for human being to actually reach that state because nowhere else will they find restfulness. उनको और कहीं विश्राम मिलेगा नहीं. So in that sense, Babaji also makes the assertion कि अस्तित्व स्थिर है, existence is stable and awakening is definite, जागृति निश्चित है. Because whatever we might experiment with, we might try with AI, we might try with whole lot of accumulation, renunciation, bhakti, virakti, all those things. We are not going to find the restfulness that we inherently desire. The restfulness can only occur when we actually understand the design of the existence and live thereby. Yeah.
Understood. Very nice.
Rakesh, the section we read in the first paragraph, there was one sentence which I found very interesting, and I feel like talking about it together. If we can see this Hindi part also, just above, yeah. So here, like it actually relates very well with the title of the chapter also, which we are reading, Parmanu Mein Vikas. So the second sentence, if you can highlight also when I'm reading it, परमाणु के पूर्ण रूप परमाणु अंश में विकास होता नहीं. And the next part also, परमाणु के पर रूप अणु रचनाएं विकास की लाक्षणिकता को प्रकाशित करते हैं, परंतु विकास नहीं होता. So I found it very interesting. I had read it earlier also, I'm sure, but it did not come up so clearly at that time. So basically, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the way I interpret here is that परमाणु के पर रूप रचनाएं विकास की लाक्षणिकता को प्रकाशित करते हैं. तो रचनाएं इज द कंपोजिशंस, बेसिकली ऑल द फिजिको केमिकल कंपोजिशंस व्हिच वी सी अराउंड अस. Okay, the laptop, the car, the trees, the mountains, the body, the human and animal bodies. So it appears to a layman, to a deluded person, like this is where the development is. Like 500 years ago, there were no cars. Today, the cars are there. So humans have developed. The tall buildings were not there, multi-story buildings were not there, but now we are able to make them. Lifts are there. All these are having the symptoms of development, and the deluded person gets attracted to them as development. But what the author is saying here is that रचनाएं विकास की लाक्षणिकता को प्रकाशित करते हैं. So the compositions, they indicate they are the symptoms of development, परंतु विकास नहीं होता है. But this is not the development. Okay? This is, I think, the direction in which the author wants to take us. Then where is the development actually? So development is in the atom itself. परमाणु में विकास है. It is the physico-chemical, the insentient atom, which develops into a sentient atom, from Pranapad Chakra to Bhratpad Chakra. And then that happens naturally. And after that, it is the effort of human beings, the purusharth of humans. It carries them to the next levels. Pranapad Chakra se Bhratpad Chakra natural ho gaya, then Bhratpad Chakra se Devpad Chakra, and then Divyapad. Okay, so this is the actual development versus the development which is considered as the development in the material. So I found it very interesting when read it in this way.
Very well explained there. बहुत अच्छा. This is very nice. In
I
fact,
have a thing here, Bhaiya. Then does it? So what happens to the stages where atom say molecule, molecule say a unit? Would that be just an expansion of that? If we are calling only three kinds of development as development, what happens to the in-between stages? How do we see it? This shatters complete notion that I had of expansion. I thought it was stepwise. So atom and then molecules and then this, and
so
then slowly we go
basically,
towards the Chaitanya Parmanu. But now you're saying it's not. So I'm just wondering, how do you see that?
so basically, what it is being said is that the materialism or the is actually says that matter actually combines and becomes progresses in the stage that it starts exhibiting consciousness. That is the line that they take. That the unicellular to multicellular and then
Mm.
uh, bigger organisms, animals than human body. And the humans actually are exhibiting thoughts, and they could actually do some minimal things in their ancient times, and they are now able to do wonderful things now. So that is how they basically describe development. But Babaji actually says that there are actually planes of being. There is uh, there is uh, physico-chemical plane, right? Where all the jad or the insentient nature is. And there is a sentient plane, okay, where actually where Jivan is. So Jivan and material, the insentient nature, they are not in the same plane. Consciousness and the material nature, they are not in the same plane. So that is one important insight that is there. That basically whatever in sentient nature actually has a composition, decomposition, integration, disintegration, janam, mrityu, birth, death, etc. That is its nature, right? So there are actually stages which in its uh, within physico-chemical nature that we but each of them are actually having a cyclicality. Like for example, uh, a deer is born and then grows up, and then after some time it basically becomes old and dies or gets killed. So and then the it becomes again the part of the elements, and then again another birth happens. So this is the way that material nature actually works. That if the organism had actually developed, it would have demonstrated more stability in itself, because it disintegrates. Therefore, it is in the same plane. It is not actually has progressed. While in the case of G1 atom, there is no possibility for it to actually decompose into material nature. So it is actually demonstrating stability, permanence, immortality, right? Which is actually he's saying is the development. And before that is actually is uh, it is there in existence, it is there in orderliness, but it is not at the same level as as Jivan is. Just in the same way, human being who lives in the delusion, there are many stages of their intellectual statuses, but it is not in the same level as the awakened human being. So awakened human being is another level of being. Right. So that is the basically the whole idea that ex the nature is not flat. Okay, nature actually has gradedness. There is actually uh, um, there is actually progression towards development. There are existential statuses of that, right, which need to be acknowledged to be able to deal with it.
Sorry. So what I'm understanding is that while we categorically say development is with these three stages, but in between there is a progression, though they may not fit into the order that is what we call developed in that particular,
Right.
right? Am I
Bilkul.
understanding it right? Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Like for
Okay.
example, deer is there, and uh, and human body is there. So clearly, there is a development of the composition, right?
Hmm.
So there is over there. So we see that it is meant to actually evidence the development that happens in Jivan. So
Hmm.
development actually happens in Jivan, but what it is composed of, it is still the same carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, etc. that it is composed of. And the body actually gets decomposed into that, right? So there is one of the sutra of darshan is जो जिससे बना हुआ होता है वो उससे अधिक नहीं होता है. That what
Hmm.
something is made of is not more than that it is, right? So something which is made of uh, uh, insentient atoms, right, which is composed of that, is fundamentally not more than that, right?
Hmm.
Because it gets decomposed into that.
Thank you. Becomes clear. Thank you, Bina.
The last one. Same paragraph, form, form, existence. The last sentence, which says the developed unit, Jivan. Oh, it was there. It's the same. The last paragraph, last sentence. The developed unit, Jivan finds exposition and communication through body composition. My
Yeah,
understanding is that Jivan communicates to the brain, right? Is that right?
yeah,
Or
that's true.
it says
Is
either body
that's
composition. That I was curious about it. I'm going to confirm that.
Yeah, but brain is the part of body composition. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So that's to double check. Thank you.
yeah. बढ़िया.
So
So
Shilpa Didi,
it's
you will, yeah, good, good, yeah, good. Thank you. We can move ahead. Shilpa Didi, you will read the Hindi
Yeah.
part of this whole section now. It is not only this paragraph, but the subsequent paragraph also till we reach the next subheading. It is only 2, 3 small paragraphs, and then Spencer can read the English.
ओके। अस्तित्व ही सह अस्तित्व है। प्रकृति में वैविध्यता है। वैविध्यता का मूल रूप पदार्थ में अथवा प्रकृति में अनेक स्थितियां हैं। प्रकृति में अनेक स्थितियां विकास के क्रम में हैं। अस्तित्व स्वयं सह अस्तित्व होने के कारण प्रकृति की प्रत्येक इकाई की परस्परता में सह अस्तित्व का सूत्र समाया है, क्योंकि प्रकृति की अनंत इकाइयां परस्परता में आदान प्रदान रत हैं। सह अस्तित्व ही पूरकता का सूत्र व स्वरूप है। पूरकता विकास के अर्थ में सार्थक होती है। अस्तित्व में विकास एक अनवरत स्थिति है। विकास के क्रम में अनेक पद और स्थितियां अस्तित्व में देखने को मिलती हैं। प्रकृति पदार्थ के नाम से भी अभिहित होती है। पदार्थ का तात्पर्य है कि पद भेद से अर्थ भेद को प्रकाशित कर सके अथवा पद भेद से अर्थ भेद को प्रकाशित करने वाली वस्तुओं से है। वस्तु का तात्पर्य वास्तविकताओं को प्रकाशित करने योग्य क्षमता संपन्नता से है। इस प्रकार प्रकृति में वस्तु और पदार्थ की अवधारणा स्पष्ट हो जाती है। अस्तित्व में प्रकृति नित्य क्रियाशील होने के कारण प्रत्येक क्रिया में श्रम, गति, परिणाम अविभाज्य रूप में वर्तमान रहता है। इसी सत्यतावश प्रकृति में परिणाम और विकास स्पष्ट है। विकास क्रम और विकास ही अस्तित्व में विविधता के रूप में दिखाई पड़ता है। यही स्थिति अध्ययन की मूल वस्तु सिद्ध हो जाती है। अध्ययन करने की क्षमता केवल मानव में ही पाई जाती है। मानव भी अस्तित्व से अभिन्न अथवा अविभाज्य इकाई है। अध्ययन के लिए अस्तित्व से अधिक कोई वस्तु या आधार नहीं है। इसीलिए अस्तित्व में यथार्थता, वास्तविकता और सत्यता के अध्ययन क्रम में निर्भ्रमता होती है। या स्पेंसर।
Okay. Existence itself is coexistence. Nature has diversity. The fundamental form of this diversity is the multiplicity of states in matter, that is, in nature. These various states of nature are in a progression of development. Since existence itself is coexistence, the principle of coexistence is inherent in the mutuality of every unit of nature, because the countless units of nature are engaged in reciprocity within their mutuality. Coexistence itself is the principle and form of complementarity. Complementarity becomes meaningful in the sense of development. Development is a ceaseless condition in existence. In the progression of development, many planes and states are observed in existence. Nature is also referred to as matter. Matter refers to that which can make evident distinctions in meaning through distinctions in plane. Sorry. An entity refers to that which possesses the capacity to provide. Sorry, I just was getting a phone call. An entity refers to that which possesses the capacity to provide expositions of realities. In this way, the concepts of entity and matter in nature become clear. Since nature is eternally active in existence, effort, motion, and result are inseparably present in every activity. By virtue of this truth, result and development are evident in nature. Development progression and development itself appear as diversity in existence. This itself becomes the fundamental subject of study. The capacity for study is found only in human beings. Human beings, too, are inseparable units of existence. There is no object or basis for study greater than existence. Therefore, the study of reality, actuality, and verity in existence leads to freedom from delusion.
बहुत बढ़िया.
Shilpa, yeah.
Any observations, Spencer?
I don't have anything to say here. I think when I'm reading this, it's reminding me of just your grand intro that you gave, Rakeshji, in the beginning of the chapter. It really, like, I think a lot of things you mentioned, and you talked through each stage of development and the mutuality amongst the units, and so I think you've said it very well already. Just the general sense that I get here is yeah, again, Babaji is describing these fundamental principles of nature, of coexistence, that there's a development, that there's many stages in this development progression, that along the way everything is complementary and moving in the same direction, moving with complementariness. It's ceaseless, it keeps going, it's nonstop development, and there's a variety in this. There's like a diversity, he says, and the diversity is just the different states, the different stages of development from matter all the way up to human, and this entire range from matter all the way up to human is the entire existence, four orders in existence, and that is the entire subject of study and understanding how that is. Yeah.
It's wonderful. Shilpa Didi, would you like to add anything?
No, I think Spencer has said it very well. I just wanted to, understand this thing. Arth bhed, can you just explain it? Pad bhed se arth bhed. मतलब पद भेद तो planes का हो गया, अर्थ मतलब understanding, meaning, is that it?
Right. For example, basically the matter there are actually existential statuses, right? Like for example, दो अंश का परमाणु का एक पद है ना? Whenever matter actually comes into that stage, it exhibits that. So पद भेद से अर्थ भेद को व्यक्त करने को पदार्थ कहते हैं. So there are actually existential statuses whenever matter actually assembles in that configuration, it actually exhibits that status. That is what it means. So two particle atom is a status, existential status. 20 particle status atom is another status. An organism is an existential status. So it basically, what is being defined here is that what is matter? Matter is that which actually exhibits this existential status. That is the definition of matter. Second thing that is saying that entities are only appearing in the form of existential statuses. They are not random congregation of matter. Entities or the units, इकाइयां जो हैं, they are only in these statuses only. They are not, random configurations are not possible, right? So what he is saying is that uh, the configurations of, like for example, the atoms, then the molecules, then the molecular forms, you cannot make designer atoms or designer molecules, or even if you try to make, it would not have stability, right? So these are called the pad or the existential statuses, and the matter actually inhabits those existential statuses and gets manifested in the form of units.
Okay, so Arth Bhed means meaningful exhibition. Yeah.
बिल्कुल. Basically, when we say that matter comes to the status of exhibiting the status of sodium, now sodium has a meaningful exhibition, that it combines with chlorine and exhibits the uh, uh, conduct of salt, right? When it combines with oxygen and hydrogen, it actually exhibits a certain kind of alkali, right? NaOH, for example. Right. So basically what he's saying is that matter, when it comes together in a certain existential status, it exhibits a certain kind of conduct.
Okay, thank you, Bhai.
Ji. There is another concept that came in this this thing is called that nature is eternally active in existence. Effort, motion, and result are inseparably present in every activity. So basically, what he's saying is nature is effortful, and it is in motion, and it is actually there are actually different statuses. Result is a existential status or a constitution. So nature is found into a series of results, and each series of result is in the form of effort and motion. तो श्रम, गति और परिणाम के रूप में क्रिया हमको मिलती है. द एक्टिविटीज ऑफ नेचर आर इन द फॉर्म ऑफ एफर्ट, मोशन एंड रिजल्ट, दीज ट्रियो. So the first stage of this kriya is when the result achieves permanence, जहां पर परिणाम का अमरत्व हो जाता है. That is the milestone of constitutional completeness. That is one when it basically shifts into the plane of sentience. There actually effort and motion continue while the result attains the permanence. The second milestone is when the effort reaches the restfulness. That जहां पर श्रम का विश्राम हो जाता है. That is the second milestone of existential progression. Okay, so that is the second milestone, which we are calling it Kriya Punta or activity completeness. And the third milestone is when existence, all the activities, the conduct of that, it reaches its completion. That means when the conduct of all the activities of nature attains the level of completeness that has a continuity, right? Which is called Acharan Purnta, for which he has given the vision of Akhand Samaj Sarbhaum Vyavastha or undivided society, universal orderliness. So that is the destination of all the activity that is there in nature. So which basically has the continuity. So now one of the argument that he gives is whenever a certain completeness is reached, after that its continuity is happens. Like this is different from the argument that normally we hear, that okay, if you climb a mountain, then the next thing is to actually come down. Here he is saying that the design of existence is that you reach a pinnacle, and after that there is continuity of that. Once you reach the level of constitutional completeness, there is no coming back. It is after that its continuity is there. Once you have actually done the realization in coexistence, there is no way that you actually can come back in the deluded state. And the third level is that once you have attained the cyclicality in the tradition of awakening, there is no way that you will actually let go of it and come back to the erratic ways of destruction and exploitation. Yeah. So that is the, if we actually listen to this and imbibe that thing, it kind of gives us a very hope in the way the things are, and we hope in the way things are in existence.
So I think we can move ahead. Renu Devi, apparently you are in a position to read now.
Yes.
You want to read?
Yes, I'd like to read, please. Thank you.
Why don't you read 2 paragraphs in one go, Hindi as well as English?
Sure.
Please.
अस्तित्व में विकास एक अनुस्यूत क्रिया है. विकास का मूल स्फूर्ति अथवा स्फुरण सत्ता में संपृक्त प्रकृति में निरंतर निहित है. स्व की अभिव्यक्ति में स्वयं स्फूर्त होना ही त्व और वातावरण और नैसर्गिकता वश स्फुरण पूर्वक उपयोगिता पूरकता स्पष्ट होना एक व्यावहारिक प्रक्रिया है. इसको जड़ चैतन्यात्मक प्रकृति में देखा जाता है. इसका तात्पर्य यह हुआ कि स्वयं में जो शक्तियों को स्वेच्छा पूर्वक अथवा स्वप्रेरणा पूर्वक व्यक्त करे वह स्फूर्ति के रूप में गण्य होता है. इसका साक्ष्य है कि प्रत्येक इकाई स्वयं क्रियाशील रहती है. स्फुरन को इस प्रकार देखा जाता है कि एक बीज को जब नैसर्गिकता में स्थित पाते हैं, तब उसमें अंकुरण होने की क्रिया आरंभ हो जाती है. बीज होते हुए भी नैसर्गिकता के बिना स्फुरन उसमें नहीं हो पाता. इस प्रकार स्पष्ट होता है कि स्फुरन नैसर्गिकता के योग में स्वयं में होने वाली क्रिया और स्फूर्ति स्वयं के वैभव को स्वयं प्रेरित पद्धति से अभिव्यक्त करने की क्रिया है। इसका कारण सत्ता में संपृक्त प्रकृति का सत्ता में अनुभव पर्यंत विकसित जागृत होना है। विकास अस्तित्व में निरंतर प्रकाशमान है। यह 4 अवस्थाओं में है। प्रथम पदार्थावस्था, द्वितीय प्राणावस्था, तृतीय जीवावस्था, चतुर्थ ज्ञानावस्था। इंग्लिश में कोई और पढ़ रहे हैं?
नहीं दीदी, आपको ही पढ़ना है।
You can continue with it.
Okay. Okay. The development is an inherent activity in existence. The root of development, namely self-expression or emergence, is continuously inherent in nature saturated in omnipotence. In the expression of the self, becoming spontaneously expressed itself is ness. While owing to environment and naturalness, usefulness and complementarity becoming evident through emergence is a practical process. This is observed in insentient as well as sentient nature. This means that whatever expresses its own powers voluntarily or through self-inspiration is regarded as self-expression. The evidence for this is that every unit remains active by itself. Emergence is understood in the following way. When a seed is found situated in its naturalness, the activity of germination begins. Although it is a seed, emergence cannot occur in it without naturalness. Thus, it becomes clear that emergence is the activity that occurs within through the conjunction with naturalness, whereas self-expression is the activity by which a unit expresses its own grandeur through self-inspired means. The reason for this is that nature, saturated in omnipotence, develops and awakens until realization in omnipotence. Development is continuously manifest in existence. It is evident in 4 orders. First, the material order, second, the biological order, third, the animal order, and fourth, the knowledge order. भैया मुझे बिल्कुल मत पूछना कि मैं इसको कुछ अपने मुझे समझ में आया, क्योंकि जब मैं
I
पढ़ती
think
हूँ तो थोड़ा धीरे धीरे अंदर जाता है, मुझे एक सेंस होती है, बट आई एम नॉट एबल टू एक्सप्रेस.
नहीं, बेसिकली इट्स अ थोड़ा सा मुश्किल. इट्स अ लिटिल बिट. I took me a while to make sense of this, so I'll try to actually explain. I think we are all together so far, so we'll try to understand this also. So there are 2 words in this paragraph. Okay, sfurti and sfuran. Okay. So so this in the in nature, there are 2 aspects which are there integral with every unit. One is called self-expression and second is called emergence. So something that each unit has within itself for actually progressing, for exhibiting itself. So that is, it's there as a sfurti. But that alone is not enough. Okay. It needs a certain environment in order to flourish. So that is called emergence. This is पहली लाइन जो ये है, विकास का मूल स्फूर्ति अथवा स्फुरण सत्ता में संपृक्त प्रकृति में निरंतर निहित है. So this self-expression and emergence is continuously inherent in nature, saturated in omnipotence. So basically what happens is, just like he gives an example of a seed, that yes, the seed has is self-inspired, it has a self-expression. That is why it is an activity. It is basically is able to hold on to the its capacity to become germinated when the conditions actually become conducive. So it has the self-inspiration, but it needs to combine with the nurturing environment or the nourishing environment, then only it basically flowers. So in these two paragraphs, it actually describes the uh, how the flourishing in nature actually happens. We can see this in ourselves also. We have the drive to understand, we have the drive to live harmoniously. That is the seed in us, that is the sphurti in us, that is the self-expression that we have. But this actually becomes manifest only when we actually get the right environment, or then only we actually see the emergence happening in us, that we see the right in, otherwise we remain in the seeded state only. So in the seed stage only. So that is the thing that he basically says, that the nature, he is asking us to see that it is happening all across the nature, in all the states. There is a drive for self-expression and there is a drive for emergence. Both these things are there, and when these two come together, then there is a progress for the next evolution, or the next stage unfolding. So we
Yeah, when
see
you
that,
say
like,
it,
for
sorry,
जी,
when you say it, it seems, yeah, this is so simple. But when I was reading, it seemed like so many words somebody's put in my mouth, and I'm not being able to string them together. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's it.
basically that is the process of adhyan, that you basically, somebody is trying to put words into your mouth and then trying to force you to think on those
I,
lines.
I'm sure Baba never read these words, no? I mean, he wrote the meaning and he was seeing the meaning. He never read those words in a in a sequence that we are reading. They seem a
I,
mouthful.
I won't hazard that guess.
Yeah,
But basically, the basic idea is this, that
yeah,
uh, the unit, each unit has, because of being saturated in omnipotence, it is having directionality, it is having sphurti, self-expression is there, right? But that alone is not enough. The development of a unit only happens in the coexistence with other units. And when the nurturing environment actually, it finds that in the meaning of nurturing environment actually means different for different entities. Like for a seed, it is the soil, water, and air, and those kind of conditions. For a human being, the nurturing environment is that where you basically, uh, you, you have somebody who addresses your inquiry, the need to know, and addresses your need for affection, addresses your need for uh, growth. Uh, so to addresses your need to realize your potential. So that is what we actually require as uh, the environment, which leads to our own flourishing. So we have the self-expression or the sphurti by our very being in existence, but we need the right environment in order to actually flourish as as a human being ought to be.
Yeah, Rakesh. I mean, I think I'm getting a very nice picture in the sense that you might have this emergence as a concept, but there must be a seed that can emerge, right? So if you try to put some semiconductors and then say let consciousness emerge, it will not
Yeah,
happen. There
it
must
will
be a
not
ground,
happen.
there must be a seed over there. So there must be a yeah. So both are important. There's a seed and a mechanism for emergence must also be there, right? So yeah,
Yes. Yeah, something we were discussing yesterday, Raghav.
yeah, true.
Yeah. Good. Shipa Didi?
Yeah, Bhaiya, so I have a question that, like we say, Brahmit Parampara hai. So although the human is born, the child is born with, Satya bolna chahta hai, Nyay chahta hai, but it is not fulfilled because of the Parampara. And but then also, when development, like somebody like Babaji who had Anubhav, self-realization happened, and then pramanit bhi ho chuke. So, but in in Brahmit society only he was able to do all that. So I'm just getting like slightly confused that नैसर्गिकता जैसे कह रहे ना उसके योग से वो होगा. So, but we also create that, right? Like he created by being by realizing all the mulya in his rishte. I don't know if I'm clear or not. I'm getting a little confused.
No, I think your point is valid. So if you look at it, the process that he went through, he in one sense actually silenced all the influences from the tradition by way of samadhi. So it was not the nurturing of the tradition through which he actually reached his, he performed his adhyana. Thus, tradition only provided him the guidance that in samadhi that he will find the answer. The sadhana that he did was actually to silence all the influences of uh, all the influences that one had on their uh, consciousness. So that is what actually happened. So a person actually, in one sense, became a singularity, or a person who become different from what tradition was actually there to offer. It, in a way, transcended the limits of that tradition. How did he transcend the limits of the tradition? He first silenced all the influences of the tradition by samadhi. Asha, vichar, ichhaएं chup ho gayi, right? And thereafter, he actually studied the existence from the first principle manners in the state of Sanyam. We will probably someday understand his process of Sanyam also, in which he basically had some questions that were not answered by the available wisdom in the tradition. That is why he had to actually silence all those influences and then study the nature directly. But he says that the nature, the way the design of existence is that people are not meant to silence the influences of their tradition. Instead, their tradition is meant to nurture them. So he, that is why he's saying what he accomplished, the understanding that he accomplished from his state of sanyam and realization in coexistence, that should get integrated into the tradition. Prior to his coming for his sadhana, that understanding was not integrated into the tradition. He did not find this understanding out of Vedic tradition. Vedic tradition only pointed him to the level of samadhi. But after that, the process that he performed was actually an improvisation. Through that improvisation, the existence got revealed to him, or he performed the study into it to achieve the understanding so that he could realize into existence. So to say that he actually achieved this thing out of the tradition would not be completely correct. He found this thing, who found the direction till the samadhi. Samadhi, he did not find the answers for his questions. So therefore, he improvised the method for Sanyam to testify his state of samadhi. In that course, he came across this darshan. He came across this understanding, or the, as he says, the nature revealed itself to him. So he could thereby transcend the limits of what tradition had to offer. So this, in that sense, he basically says that his discovery is a vikalp of what was offered from the tradition, what was offered from the Vedic tradition. He does not see his Madhyas Darshan in continuation of Vedic tradition, nor is it in continuation of the materialistic tradition. That is the reason he actually has he has positioned this darshan as the alternative, because it was not, he did not get the required understanding from the tradition.
Very nice, Bhaiya. Thank you.
On this point, I was reading this Jeevan Vidya Ek Parichay. So in the last 30 odd pages, there are question answers there. So Shilpa Didi, last night I was reading it. So in one of the question is precisely the question you asked. You know, the question was asked to Babaji. It is narrated in the book that you have been saying that परंपराएं सड़ी गली हुई है ना, इनमें कुछ नहीं है, the tradition is useless. बट आपने भी इस ट्रेडिशन में ही समाधि संयम की जो पद्धतियां हैं वो लिखी हुई हैं, आपने उन्हीं से ही शुरू करके आप पहुंचे हो. So you know, like something like what you are saying. So it will be interesting to read how Babaji answered that also in that.
Yeah, Bhaiya. Sure, I will read it. Thanks.
So, do we want to go ahead or do we want to just, I think only 3 minutes are remaining. So,
Yeah.
Bhaiya,
So I think
we can
it might be
summarize.
better to actually
Summarize,
yeah, summarize. Yeah.
Any closing remarks from anyone, or maybe I see Vilas Bhai, Ganesh Bhaiya, you know, you have been there. So, any comments from you, Krishan Bhai also? Any observations?
Namaste Bhaiya, namaste to everyone. Krishan Bhaiya, you want to speak?
बस भैया मैं तो सबको आभार व्यक्त करना चाह रहा था. मैं एक्चुअली कहीं डेथ में आया हुआ था तो बोलने की स्थिति में नहीं हूँ. सभी का आभार.
ठीक. Ganesh Bhaiya.
Namaste Bhaiya, namaste. Good morning to everyone. Actually, before joining this Madhyas Darshan or Jeevan Vidya, I had many questions and I was moving here and there, getting certain answers, but nothing was like very much acceptable to me, or like I was watching everything in the society. So, but once we got the information through Madhyas Darshan and through Shivers and now in Adhyan, now it looks like everything is very much acceptable, है ना, जैसे कुछ जानने वाली बात हो रही है. So that is the beauty, and every day and every Sunday we are listening to you. So that is also further strengthening the belief that yes, this alternative is actually the reality which we are able to see. And Babaji definitely has said, if something is, I have took you to this stage, and if you still feel there is more research is needed, then you can go ahead. So this is the beauty of this Madhyas Darshan. Thank you, Bhaiya. Thank you.
I saw Vilas Bhai also unmuted himself. So please, Vilas.
Namaste Bhaiya. Namaste Sanjeev Bhaiya. Namaste to all. Namaste. नमस्ते किशन भैया. बढ़िया है भैया, अच्छा लग रहा है. ऐसा मैं भी ट्रैवल कर रहा हूँ थोड़ा सा, तो ज्यादा कुछ नहीं बोलूंगा, बट अच्छा है सर. हफ्ते में एक बार जो है वो एक दोबारा रिमाइंडर जो है अच्छे से हो जाता है, और राकेश भैया का एक्सप्लेनेशन सुनना बहुत अच्छा लगता है, इसलिए मैं इसमें ज्वाइन हो जाता हूँ बस.
Always. We always see you in the meeting. See means your presence is seen. We have not seen you so far. At least I have not seen your face. So कभी वो भी देखेंगे.
नहीं भैया, मैं कैमरा ऑन कर लेता हूँ, कोई इशू नहीं है.
नहीं, ठीक है. चलिए, ठीक है भैया. ठीक है.
नमस्ते भैया.
अब किस शहर में भैया आप?
भोपाल में हो भैया मैं.
भोपाल. ठीक है.
And
please carry
recently
on.
we conducted FDP at NIT Bhopal. Shiva Bhaiya was the resource person, and he was reminding you that for English versions, I think we can call Sanjeev Bhaiya as well any time in future as well. ठीक भैया.
Rakesh Bhaiya is leading the effort. We are all working together on it. Great. Nice to talk.
Thank you.
जी.
Very happy with this.
Rakesh Bhaiya, please carry on.
Yeah, I think we are making good progress. These chapters are not so easy read if you frankly, if you ask me. But I think we have in the last 3-4 or 5-6 meetings, we have made some good progress. We are all together in terms of understanding. I think in some senses we are successful in unpacking or uh, uh, what Babaji is trying to say, right? Finally, when if something is understood, it should actually appear simple to us. It should not overwhelm us, right? We should basically feel that things are converging. They are not actually going all over the place, right? So I think all of us are making efforts, in that direction. So very happy to actually see all of you, and I look forward to every Sunday to meet in our little gathering.
All of
Yeah.
us. All of us.
Yeah, so do we.
Yes. In
Okay,
fact, in our
so
own little ladies group, I was saying the other day, the way it goes in the Sunday group, it's really fantastic. We are reading, but we tend to go one paragraph in that 2 words, and we get stuck on it, and then we keep talking about it, and then दिल्ली बहुत दूर है अभी हमारे लिए, but never mind. This is a very very enriching group. So thank you for what you do.
right. Thank you,
Thank
Rakesh
you,
Bhaiya.
Ji.
Thank you everyone for joining, and see you next
Thank
Sunday,
you.
same time, same place. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Namaste.
much.
Bye bye.